No, don't do any change now.
Yes.
Okay, we are live. Hello everyone, I am Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Skill Horizon official YouTube channel. And you might be thinking where I went away and why this Salesforce mock interview session stopped. So, due to some reason, Utkarsh got busy and he was having some project work. So, I was kind of finding someone who can come up live with me and we can do some sessions together. So uh, I just want to introduce Neil. So Neil is having some internship with me. He's learning Salesforce and he's quite good in learning and his delivery is also good. So I was quite impressed with him. And then I discussed with him like, can we do some mock interview session live so that whatever question I will be asking, you can try to answer, and then I will let you know like how we can improvise that so that when you go for a real interview, so your performance can be improved. So he agreed, and now he's live on my YouTube channel, and I think he is live on YouTube for the first time, right, Neil?
Yes. Yes, sir. This is the first time.
Yeah, so if you want to introduce yourself with the community, because I hope you know 98,000 subscribers are there, and soon, like this is your first live, so lots of people like you will see more than 500, 600 views will be there in 24 hours. So lots of
Yes.
people will be watching you. So I just want you to give your introduction so that they know like what you have done so far and what you are doing and what is like your future goals and why you are
Yes.
learning Salesforce, what you want to do with Salesforce. Yep, over
Yes.
to you.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Neil Mishra, and currently I am in Jaipur, being mentored in Salesforce by one of the most renowned and most reputed teacher in the community, by Sanjay Gupta sir. And as far as my graduation is concerned, I graduated in the field of law. My graduation and post graduation both were in the field of law. I pursued BBA, LLB, and LLM in science and technology specialization. And I also practiced for a while. And later on, I decided to make my career change. And the reason for this particular change was my prior experience and interest in the field of computer science and my better compatibility with this particular industry. So therefore I decided to make this change and I chose Salesforce as a technology because I believe Salesforce is more accepting of non-tech individuals and therefore I decided what better than Salesforce and who better than Sanjay sir. Therefore, and now so here I am. And as far as my future goal is concerned, from here on, I want to learn. I want to become a software developer in Salesforce with strong concepts and efficient problem solving, because the core of my interest in computer science is problem solving. So, administration, admin, development, Apex, LWC, integration, Agent Force. That is where I believe my coming months and coming years are going and that going to. And personally speaking, I also am exploring a bit of data structures and algorithms because problem solving is what keeps the fire burning.
Right.
So I'll be sharing my I'll be sharing my learnings on LinkedIn as well. So please connect with me over there, and that's all about me.
Okay, thank you, Neil, for sharing all the insights about you. I'm
Yes.
happy like you agreed, and this series can continue because we already conducted 11 sessions, 11 episodes are done, and
Yes.
those were based on admin flows, and we covered Apex. And from today's session, we'll be starting triggers. So I will be asking questions related to trigger. Okay, there will be two type of questions available.
Yes.
One will be related to descriptive, and another will be related to objective. Okay, and I will be
Yes.
asking related questions as well. Like if whenever you answer, so we'll give you some more like rapid fire questions so that I can test your knowledge. So
Sure.
why I am conducting, so guys, why we are conducting this mock interview, so that you get to know about the questions. You can also prepare with Neil, because Neil is going to give interview soon. So along
Yes.
with his preparation, you can also do the preparation. Okay, so with this note, we can move on to the next slide, and just want to
Yes.
quickly give you some idea about Skill Horizon. So at Skill Horizon, we are mainly focused on the job readiness program. Okay, so we are focusing on Salesforce, cybersecurity, ServiceNow, AI, ML, and data science. So we are running both online and offline courses. So if you want to become job ready, you can be part of Skill Horizon, and all the information are already available on our website. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So I think now these QR codes are available if you want to follow our Instagram and Telegram community. So you can scan the QR code and you can follow us. You will receive all the updates, and all the live session updates I am sharing in the Telegram community. So you can join that so that you receive all the updates. Okay, so moving on to the first question. So today we'll be focusing on the triggers only, right? And whenever objective question will be coming, so I will ask you guys as well. And the subjective question, if you guys can answer through the chat, so I would be happy, like if you can write the answer. So Neil, first question for you, like can you explain what is trigger in Salesforce, and what are the type of trigger and trigger events we are having? Yeah.
Okay. So Trigger is basically an automation functionality provided by Salesforce
Hmm.
uh, that is created using Apex
Hmm.
and is quite flexibly customizable as in comparison to flows. And uh,
Now types
the,
of
the
types of
yes.
types of triggers.
So there are majorly two types of triggers, before and after.
Hmm.
And as far as the events are concerned, when we consider the types of triggers and DML operations, there are multiple types which are as following: before insert, after insert, and before update, after update, before delete, after delete, and after undelete. So
Yeah.
these are the types of trigger events.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So there are two types of trigger. One is before trigger and another is after trigger. And there are total 7 events available that Neil explained. So Neil, can you give me the difference between before trigger and after trigger? Like in which situation? So if I give you an scenario, like we are inserting a record, okay, and
Yes.
there are two events available, before and after. So in which situation you will be choosing before, and in which situation you will be choosing after? I want your answer to be supported by a real time scenario.
Okay. So, sir, am I sorry? You said we are inserting a record,
Yeah,
right?
we are inserting a record and we have before and after. So I need a scenario for both.
So, in the particular case, when we are inserting a record, uh, we choose after when we have to deal with the record ID of the record being inserted,
Hmm.
because this is one of the major difference when we deal with insert, before insert and before after.
Hmm.
In before insert, since the record is not temporarily saved in our org, the record ID is not generated. So a real life example could be, for example, there are the objects of account and contacts. So if we are inserting account objects and we want that when the account objects are inserted, or let's say opportunity, when the account objects are inserted, one opportunity record should automatically be created. So in this case, we will consider after insert, because we want the record ID of the account to be generated, because only then we can populate the opportunity account ID field
Right,
with
you
the
are right.
account ID of the account.
Yes.
And in case of before, when we don't need the ID and the record being, and there is a record being inserted and we need to make change to that particular record before it is being inserted.
Right.
So for example, when the account is being created, and let's say hypothetically there is a field called date of creation, although it automatically stores this information, but let's assume that there is this particular field. then we can do it in before update. And because in that scenario, we won't be using a DML statement.
Right. So you are quite right, and you explained real-time scenarios as well. Just to summarize, in case of before insert, we don't use DML, and if your trigger is initiated by one object, and on the same object's record, if you want to do anything, then we go for before. And if you need ID generated whenever you are performing any operation, and that ID you want to use into the related record, okay, then generally we prefer before after insert, right? But your answer was correct. If you go to an interview and if you explain this way, I think your answer will be complete. Okay, so I hope those who are watching, you also got to know, like in detail you need to explain, you need to back your answer with a scenario as well, right? Okay, let's jump on to the next question, and next question will be an objective question, and there are four choices available, A, B, C, D, and I want you guys to type the answer in the chat. So second question says, which of the following is true about trigger bulkification? So first is triggers run once per record. You can't query in trigger. Triggers must handle up to 200 records per execution, and governor limits don't apply inside triggers. So these are four options. So I'm just waiting for your responses in the chat. Then I will ask Neil to respond so that I can compare the answers, and then we'll have a discussion. In the meantime, audience is answering in the chat. So Neil, can you tell me about what is this bulkification?
So bulkification basically means to execute in bulk, not individually, but collectively. So bulkification is implemented in Salesforce via use of multiple functionalities. The very basic are list, set, and map. And then in as far as triggers are concerned, triggers they when triggers whenever a trigger functionality is triggered, let's say, then it is not for one record, it is for multiple records. It has the ability to handle multiple records and make changes with the particular automation that we are implementing to multiple record at a time. So
Right.
that I believe is what bulkification is.
Yes. So if you want to process one record as well as bulk record, both the type of records you want to process. So for that purpose, we write trigger in bulk, right? So that's why this bulkification is there. So anybody who wants to share the answer in the chat, because I don't see any answer as of now. So maybe, yeah, Neil, you can go ahead and as per you, what is the correct answer?
I believe C is the correct answer over here. That triggers must handle up to 200 records per execution.
Can you justify this answer, like why so?
So because whenever a trigger runs, it executes records in a bundle of 200. It executes records in a bundle of 200 records. So the particular technical term is that 200 records in one transaction. So that is the limit for a particular transaction, 200 records.
Okay. And if we go for other options like A, trigger runs once per record, that is incorrect because bulkification is there. You
Yes.
can't query in trigger, so we can do. So in trigger and Apex both are separate files. Okay, so triggers are having different file, and in trigger we can write the Apex code. So we can do query there as well. And fourth option says governor limits don't apply inside trigger. So governor limits will apply if you are applying any DML or any SOQL. So whatever governor limits are there in Apex, so all those will apply with the trigger as well. Okay, so I think we can move on to the next question now. So next question, question number 3. I think again it is a objective question. So we have 4 options, and I would encourage if you can share the responses in the chat for this question as well. So how can you enforce custom validation rules in an Apex trigger? Okay, we create custom validation. So if you want to enforce that custom validation rule in trigger, so how that can be done? So it means we don't want to create a custom validation. We want to do it with the help of trigger. Okay, so which is the correct option here? So first option says use DML option to enforce validation rule. Then I think here correct word is already mentioned. So maybe you will be able to judges this was by mistake it is available. So I think B is the correct answer. So let me ask a counter question on this. So correct answer is use the add error method within the trigger, right? So this correct is already written over here. So it means this B option is right for this. Okay. So here my question is in add error we can write a custom error message, right? Okay, we need to hard code. So is there any way I don't hard code the value and in production if I deploy my code, so that value, that error message I can change in production, because in production we cannot do any changes in the Apex code. And so what could be the possible solution to that problem? How we can handle that hard code issue?
Should I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
So, in the setup, we can find a functionality of labels, I believe, and using the functionality of label, we can create our own label, and then we can use that particular label in the add error message.
Right.
So,
So it is actually custom label. Okay, we have custom label. So through custom label, if you create custom label, in those custom label we can store the message. That custom label we can use in the code, and when you deploy your code to the production, so that custom label is just a configuration. So in production environment we can modify the configuration, and through that configuration change, if it is used in the code, so in that code that will automatically be used. One more question, can we use one custom label into multiple Apex files, multiple triggers? Is it possible?
yes, sir, I think we can use
Right.
one label in multiple.
Yes, one
file.
custom label we can use in many files, so reusability is there, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next question. And I can see in the chat, Abhishek, Vipin, yeah, your answers are also correct. Okay, so yeah, next question is what are context variables and what context variables are available in different DML statements?
So, sir, context variables are whenever a trigger is executing, during that time, there are various values and various record values that a developer needs to access. So, context variables are inbuilt functionality provided with triggers, wherein a developer can access the records and access and get to know what stage a trigger is in.
Okay, can you
And-
give me any example, like any
Yes, sir.
context variable name?
So there is a context variable is executing, and there is also very popularly used new map, old map, and is before, is after, is insert, is
Right.
delete.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So all these are context variables. So like whenever you are inserting any record, you are updating a record. And in trigger, if you want to identify whether record is being inserted or record is being updated. So for that we need to write context variables in the trigger. Okay, so you will be writing trigger.isInsert to identify whether record is being inserted. Then you can write is before, is after as well. So there are lots of context variables available. So we have trigger.isInsert, is update, is delete, is undelete. Then we have before and after. Okay, these are total 6. Then we have trigger.new, trigger.new map, trigger.old, old map, and trigger.is executing. Okay, so all these are context variables that we use in trigger. Another question, Neil, these context variables we can use in trigger only or we can use in Apex class also?
Sir, I believe we can use these in only in the trigger file, not in the
Yes,
Apex class.
you are right. So these are part of and these are associated with triggers only. If you want to use context variable in Apex class, you will receive an error because Apex class won't be able to recognize those context variables. Okay, there is a question from Abhishek. Abhishek is asking, is context variable read only? Let's say we have trigger.new. In trigger.new we have some data. So is it read only or we can modify the data in trigger.new?
Sir, in the after scenario, it becomes read only
Right.
because now the record is temporarily saved. So if we make any change, we need to go with a DML statement.
Yes.
Before that, since it is not saved, we can make a change.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So in case of before, so Abhishek, in case of before context, we can do the changes. But once record is saved temporarily to the database, and after that, if you are performing after event, then at that time this becomes read only. And if you want to do any changes, so we need a DML operation for that purpose. We need to create a separate list also. But directly this trigger.new, new map, old, we won't be able to modify. Okay, Neil. So you are going good. All your answers are correct. So I think you are confident enough, and these are very simple questions.
Yes, sir.
Going forward, difficult questions will also be coming.
Yes,
So let's
yes.
move on to the next question. Okay, so again we have one objective question. So what's the correct way to create related records like child contact for new account? Okay, so this is the question, and there are four options. So I would be happy if from audience you can answer. So first option is use before insert on account and modify trigger.new. Then second is use after insert on account and insert new contact records. Third is use before insert on contact, and fourth is modify trigger.old map. So what do you think? Which should be the correct answer?
So should I answer or
No, I
we have
I am
it?
just waiting for audience to answer.
Sure,
So
sir.
just type A B C D. What you think? And be quick because YouTube has a feature of like this top fan. So let's see who is the top fan. So right now Vipin is leading. Vipin is on number one since he is doing lots of interaction. Okay, Arafat, you are saying B. Abhishek is saying B. Vipin is also saying B. Okay, Gaurav is also there. Hello, Gaurav. Calories B. Okay, so mostly are saying B. So what's your take on this, Neil? Do you also think B is
Sir, sir, I would like to go with the audience on this. I think
okay? Yeah, B
B
is the
is the
correct answer. Can you justify
yes.
why not A?
Sir, because in case of A, we won't be able to connect the contact with the account
Why so?
because in a before scenario, since the record is not temporarily saved and the record has not made contact with the org, so the record ID will not be generated, and the contact needs a record ID to connect
Exactly.
with the account.
Yeah, so in interview, like this type of question, if you face and you need to choose any one answer from many choices. So after choosing, if you can do some justification, so that would be good. Okay, so just try to justify why you have chosen that particular option. Okay, so you are absolutely right, and we can move on to the next question now. So question number 6, you have to find out whether a particular field has been updated or not. Which context variable will you use for best time complexity? So there are four: trigger.new, trigger.old, trigger.newmap, and trigger.old map. So there are few combinations available: A, B, C, A, AD, CB, or CD. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 options. So again in chat you can type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever option you think is correct, and then I will ask Neil to answer, and then we'll see which one is the correct. So as per question, we need to identify in the code like whether which particular field is updated, like whether not which, whether particular field got updated or not. Okay, so those things we need to identify. So how we can do that? So Chandan is saying number 5, Abhishek is saying number 1, Gaurav is saying number 3. Okay, I need more answers. So lots of folks are available in this live stream, so I want you to type the answer. Okay, Vipin is also saying number 3. Okay, so yes, Neil, what you think?
Sir, I believe we need the new value as well as the old value when we are deciding whether a change has been made or not.
Right.
So the combination could be one new context variable and one old. So it could be A, D, or B, C, or even C, D. So trigger new and old map, or old and new map, and new map and old map. I believe all
So
these
which,
will give us the answer.
okay, and which will be the prominent, like which one you will prefer?
Sir, I would prefer new and old map.
Right. So that is the best case. If you choose trigger.new and trigger.old map, that is the best case. But we can create other combinations as well. Like if you want to use new map and trigger.old, that is also possible. Okay. Now one more question. What if I pass trigger.new and trigger.old? I can use that as well, A and B. So will there be any problem? Why we are choosing trigger.new and trigger.old map?
Sir, in case of new and old, we will be able to execute it. We will be able to get to know whether a change has been made. But if we select, let's say, a field X, then to check that field X using old trigger.old, we need to query over the complete list. So that would create a scenario of
this is wrong answer. We don't need to query, because why we need to query in trigger
loop. Sorry.
Yeah, you need to use loop. So this trigger.new and trigger.old, what are they? Like which type of collection they are?
List type.
List type. So we will be using one loop or two loop if we use trigger.new and trigger.old.
So it would be two loops. So
Two
the
loops,
time
right.
complexity would go to n square.
Yeah,
in that.
perfect. So this is correct answer. If we use trigger.new and trigger.old, since both are list, and if you pass them in the method and you do the comparison of new and old, so in that case we need we need two loops, because these are two lists. If you are iterating two lists and you are doing some comparison, so we need nested loops for that. So to avoid that, what we can do, we can pass one list and one map. So that is why we prefer trigger.new and trigger.old map, because trigger.new is a list and trigger.old map is a map. When you pass list and map, and if you want to do a comparison, so through one loop we can apply on the list, and inside list we can do direct searching in the map based on the key. Okay, so that is why trigger.new and trigger.old map is the best condition here, AD. So third answer is the correct. We can do both maps as well. That is also fine. Trigger.new map and trigger.old map. That is also fine. But trigger.new map, at least one loop will be required. Okay, at least one loop will be required. So that's why instead of new map, we are preferring new. Because in that new map, we don't need to do any direct searching. So you can use new map and old map as well. Okay. So let's move on to the next question now. So next is descriptive question. So what is trigger? Sorry, what is recursive trigger? Explain.
Sir, recursion basically means repeating again and again. So
what thing? Repeating again and again what? Because loop also does the same thing.
Yes, sir. So recursion means repeating again and again endlessly. So in case of
what is the difference between recursion and loop then?
Sir, a loop has a limited number of repetitions, Whereas in case of recursion, the loop stops. A particular function is being comes back to itself.
So you need to use function, because if you are calling so you can say if a function is calling itself again and again.
Yes.
Okay, if a function is calling itself again and again, then recursion happens. So loop and recursion both are totally different.
Yes.
Loop repeats some set of instructions, but recursion happens when you are calling a function itself again and again. So that situation is basically known as recursion. Okay, now can you like explain any example where this situation can arise?
Sir, let's consider an example where we have two objects. Let's say an account object and an opportunity object. So when we are writing a logic in Trigger via which we are changing a field of account. Let's say there is an active field that has values yes or no, and we are changing the account field, the value of that particular field to yes. Then in that case, because there is a business logic that we need to create in the opportunity field, also a particular the trigger changes the account value as sorry. If can I repeat? Try to repeat again.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let's say there is an account, and in case of before update,
you can explain in generic term. High level explanation will also be appreciated.
Okay.
Any high level situation, like if we do this and if this is happening through the code, don't say like what is happening in the code, just overview if you can give, so that would be fine.
Let's say we have a before update situation, and we are updating a record, and then we write a DML statement in it. Then in that case that would cause a recursion, because the update would happen again and again, and it would trigger the trigger again and again.
But you said in before generally we don't write DML, so you should say after. Okay, so just to explain this, what you need to answer in the interview, you will say if we are doing any record update from the UI. Okay, you are updating a record from the UI, so for that particular record, trigger will be initiated. And if there is any after update scenario available where you are doing DML on the same record. Okay, so you are updating a record from the UI, and then trigger is being called. Trigger is also updating the same record. So again trigger will call, and this will happen again and again. So this type of situation generally create recursion. Okay, so I have some examples on recursion. So on my YouTube channel, there are some playlists available for trigger, and the bootcamp playlist is also available. There I demonstrated like how recursion situation can arise. So you can go and watch that particular video so that you guys can understand. This is just for audience. Like if you can go and watch those videos, you will be able to understand. Okay, let's move on to the next question now. So how should a developer prevent a recursive trigger? So this question is related to the previous one. Now we have four options. Use static boolean variable, use a one trigger one object pattern, use a trigger handler, use a private boolean variable. So there are four options associated, and only those folks who have already implemented this recursion situation, like if you encountered that and you prevented it, then only you will be able to answer this question. So let's see who answers. I can see few of my students joined live, so they are actively answering. So okay, Vipin is saying A. Abhishek, I have a question. In Java we use recursion method at the place of loop, and it's decreasing complexity. This also possible in Apex? Yes, Abhishek, it is possible in Apex. So we can replace loop with the recursion, like if you are calling a method again and again, so that is possible. So whatever data structure problems you are having where we do recursion implementation, so those can be implemented through Java and those can be implemented through Apex as well. Okay, so mostly folks answered A. So what you say, Neil? You are also thinking about A?
Yes. So I
Okay.
also think A is the answer. In use a static Boolean variable.
So what will
And
happen? Like how it will prevent the recursion?
so we can create a static Boolean variable in a particular Apex class and set its value to either true or false. And then in our trigger file, we can write a condition wherein if the value of that particular static Boolean variable has been changed from what its initial value was, then in that case,
Yeah, you are
do
right.
not go into the trigger.
So initially it will be either true or false, and then when method is called once, then before it goes to the execution, we will change its value, Boolean variable value. If it is initially true, we will change it to false. If it is initially false, we will change it to true. So that whenever that method is being called, so first rotation will execute, and after the second rotation, that method won't execute again. Okay, so yep, like audience, you are right, and Neil, you are also right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, what is the scope of a static variable used to prevent recursion? So per record, per trigger execution, per transaction, or global across all users. So guys, this is a tricky question. Okay, let's see who answers for this. So Vipin, you said use static Boolean variable first true, then in trigger convert. Yeah, you are right. That is to prevent. And as Kaluri, you are saying it is best practice to write one trigger per object. But what will happen if we use? I think your question is incomplete, Kaluri. If you can write the other part also. Best practice is one trigger per one trigger for one object, but if you create multiple triggers for one object, that is also fine. But the issue is order will not be guaranteed, like which trigger will be executed first. Okay, so Vipin and Suraj are saying D, Gaurav is saying B. Okay, what do you think, Neil?
Sir, I think the answer is B.
Per trigger execution, yes, you are right. So for that trigger execution, it will be used. But
Yes.
if we use the same variable somewhere else in that transaction, can we use that variable somewhere else in the same transaction? It might be possible,
Yes.
right? So it depends where you have created the variable. Okay, so if you have created a variable, if you have created that static variable in trigger itself, then it can be used in trigger. So in that case, answer will be B. Okay, if you have created that variable in a class and that class can be accessible by another classes or triggers, then you can say it is per transaction,
Okay.
right? So it depends where it is created, accordingly it will be working. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So we have another question. So what is the order of execution? Enlist all the steps in the order of execution. So first tell me what is order of execution.
Sir, in case of a trigger, whenever a trigger is initiated, then there is a particular order that is followed in the backend. We can say that it is an order of various logics and functionalities. The priority list in which they would be executed, the descending order, I would say. So whenever a trigger is initiated, then we have a list that enlists that what would be executed at which time. So that is what I believe is an order of execution in Salesforce.
Okay, yeah, you are absolutely right. So whenever any transaction is initiated, so we have certain set of instructions like the order in which they execute. Do you remember this, like few of them?
Sir, yes, I can
Okay, so
recollect
how
some.
many steps are there in total?
So in total, there are 20 steps.
Okay, so what is the 20th step? Last one.
20th step is post commit logics.
Right. And the 19th one?
19th one is committing the record.
Okay. Okay, and like tell me some other in the sequence if you
Uh,
remember. Whatever sequence you remember, just let me know.
okay. So the first is the new record comes,
Hmm.
and the second is the old record is fetched from the memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have before triggers, we have then validation rules, and then we have a temporary save, then we have after triggers, and we also have after flows, and before save we also have uh,
So
before
yeah,
the
this
flows which work on
this will happen in the real interview also. Like you will forget the order. So I would say you can remember in a short form, like for one line, you can just identify one keyword like validation rule or before trigger, after trigger. Then just write it on a piece of paper and then try to memorize. Because this thing you need to memorize, or few things you will be able to understand, because
yes.
before comes before flow, before trigger will be coming before your record is saved and it doesn't commit, and after that like after flow and after trigger will be coming. Okay, so
Yes.
these 5 6 you can remember, you can just logically you can understand. Few things you need to memorize, so just a suggestion, everybody please write one word for one step on a piece of paper, and then those 20 terminologies you can remember. So this is very good question for interview. In most of the interviews, interviewer will be asking. For beginner and intermediate level, this is a good question. Okay, moving on to the next. So which of the following will cause a runtime error? Record is read only. Okay, so it means when you will see record is read only error. Okay, so it is related to trigger. Suppose you are creating a record or updating a record and you are seeing record is read only. So what could be the cause? So A says updating a field in trigger.new inside and after insert trigger. B says performing SOQL inside a loop. C is adding an error using add error. And D is running a DML in before trigger. So I would be happy if you guys can answer to this question, and then we'll ask Neil to answer. And I just want to give you a hint, like this question kind of we already discussed in the previous question. In one of the question we discussed about it. So if you remember about this, you will be surely able to answer. Okay, so Vipin is saying A, Abhinav is saying A, Tanya is saying A. So I need more responses because this is easy to identify. Gaurav is saying A. What about other folks? Abhishek is also saying A. Chandan is also saying A. So I think most of the folks are saying A. So what you suggest, Neil? You want to go with the audience?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I would like to go with the audience on this as well.
Yeah. So you guys are right, and I'm happy like you are listening attentively, because this we discussed when Abhishek asked like uh, whether the context variables are read only or not. So we discussed trigger.new. If you are using in before, then it is editable, but if you use trigger.new in after insert and if you modify that, then you will receive this error record is read only. Okay, Abhishek, you are asking, sir, depends if there is no workflow rule and any assignment rule, then the number will decrease. Yes, because I need to check because these are part of one step. So I think they have separate step. So it depends. Like if you are not having any rule, let's say you don't have any flow implemented, then those two steps will be removed. So uh, as per the order of execution, there are total 20. Now, if you don't have any implementation available, then obviously that particular step will be removed. Okay. So in total there are 20. But if you have implemented anything, then that particular step will execute. Otherwise, number of steps will be reduced. Okay, so Neil Vipin is giving you 5 crore because you predict the correct answer. So Vipin and Neil both are friends. They are learning together. So that's why I'm
Yes,
trying to relate. So
I can take it from him tomorrow.
yeah. Okay, moving on to the next question. So okay, next question is you want to count how many contacts belong to each account during contact insert. Where should that logic reside? In an after insert trigger, in a before insert trigger, in an after insert trigger on contact. Okay, A is on account, B is on a contact, sorry, C is on contact, and D is in a workflow rule. So I guess everybody can like ignore D because right now I said workflow is deprecated, so that will not be the correct answer. So read the question twice, focus on the answers, try to understand, and then answer it. Okay, Chandan is saying C, Gaurav is also saying C. I want more responses. I can see more folks joined this live stream. So those who are watching, read the question and try to answer. Vipin is also saying C. Okay, yes, Neil, can you select the correct answer and try to explain why that is the correct answer?
I think C is the correct answer.
Why
Uh,
so?
in an after insert trigger on contact,
Hmm.
because first of all, it should be on, the trigger should be on contact, because the question says that contacts are being inserted. So,
Yeah.
and it should be an after insert trigger, because only when the contacts get inserted we can get the correct count of now how many contacts are related to a particular account.
Yeah, you are
So
right. Absolutely right. So here in the question, it is already mentioned in the second line during contact insert. So we are inserting contact, so it means B or C. Now B says before and C says after. So generally, when you need to work on the related records, we prefer after. Okay, because we need to do some DML operations, so we prefer after for that purpose. Okay, so C is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 12. So moving on to the next question. So why is there no before undelete as a trigger event? So we have before insert, we have before update, after update, we have before delete, after delete, but we don't have before and delete, we only have after and delete. So what should be the answer for this?
sir, as far as I am aware, the reason that there is no before and delete is that when a record is inside the recycle bin, when we undelete it, it moves from the recycle bin into our org.
Hmm.
And since the record is already saved, it is already stored. It is now just being moved from the recycle bin to our org. So there is no temporary save stage. There is no in between stage for that particular record.
Right.
So that is the reason there is no before undelete. And in case of before, we implement various logics like validation, etc. But since the record is already there, before undelete wouldn't logically happen.
Yes, you are absolutely right. So there is nothing to add. You very well explained, and
Mm.
that is the correct reason why before is not there. And because record is already saved, so we just need to move it from recycle bin to the actual object. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So this is the second last question for the day. So which of the following statement about Trigger.old is true? First is it is available in before insert trigger. Second is it can be modified in before update. Third is it is available in after update and before update triggers. And fourth is it is available in after delete and before delete triggers. So read the question again. Trigger.old. Okay, we are talking about trigger.old. So which is the correct answer? And I think more than one can also be the answer. So I can see few responses. Guys, read again the question and the answers. There can be multiple correct answers. Okay, still few folks are selecting only one option, but few are selecting two. Vipin is saying C and D. Sai Mahesh is saying B and C. Gaurav is also saying C and D. Yeah, what do you think, Neil?
Sir, I think C and D is the correct answer.
Yes. So C and D both are correct because in both, like after update, before update, and delete. So update and delete both are having old. Okay, so C
Yes.
and D both are correct answer for this. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is the last question for the day, and we are about to complete 1 hour. So this is the question, like consider the following code. We have a trigger helper where we have is executed false, and then we are having uh, a trigger on account, okay, which is on after update. Then we are checking is executed, and in helper we are setting through helper we are fetching the field is executed, and we are storing true into it. Okay, so in the above code, what should be done to reset the recursion prevention mechanism after the trigger has finished executing? So no action needed, the flag reset automatically. Second is use trigger dot is executed equals to false at the end of the trigger. Then C is set trigger dot is executed equals to false after the DML operation. Use trigger dot new to reset recursion. This is a tricky question. Read the code. So we have Apex class. So if you see starting code, like line number 234, after this consider the following code. Like we have trigger helper and then we have trigger. There are two different files available.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Amit is saying A, Vipin is also saying A, Sai Mahesh is saying B. I need more answers, guys. Just think what could be the solution. Okay, go ahead, Neil. What do you think?
So I think A would be the answer because after a particular trigger is completed, the execution is completed, then automatically the value would be set to false. And whenever another later on, whenever a trigger would be executed and uses the value, then automatically the false value would.
Yeah, here in this case, like all the necessary statements are already there. In the trigger helper, we are having is executed, which is initially set as false. And when we are writing the trigger, we are setting is executed as true before we are calling any other method. Okay, and in if we are already checking whether is executed is true or false, right? So this particular piece of code is already written correctly, so there is no change required, right? So this is it for today. I think if we go to the next slide, we have the QR code. So if you want to follow, like initially when we started this series, so we were having a fixed day, but due to some time constraints, I'm not able to follow that schedule. So I would recommend if you can scan this Telegram community QR code. So there I'm sharing all the details, like whenever session is happening, so that you can follow. And by any chance, if you miss the live stream, then you can watch the recording as well. But live stream has its own benefit. Like you can involve, you can share your responses, and you can do the interaction. Okay, but due to some reason, if you miss, then you can go and watch the recording. Now onwards, every week we'll be having these sessions. Okay, so both 100 days challenge and this mock interview series, both I will be doing every week. So tomorrow we'll be having the 100 days challenge. In the previous one, I explained the custom setting. So tomorrow I will be having another session where I will be explaining you the custom metadata type and the differences. Right, so do follow both the series so that you can do some hands-on and you can prepare yourself for the interviews. Right, so because the end goal is to get a job. Okay, and Skill Horizon is dedicated for every learner, whether you join our job readiness program or not. If you're not joining, then also we are giving lots of free content to you so that you can prepare for the interviews. Okay, so thank you, Neil, and
Thank you, sir.
I'm grateful to you. Like you agreed for this session, and because of you, this is happening, and we are able to continue our mission. So really appreciate your efforts, and
No, sir, I'm more thankful for this opportunity because now I will get this chance to connect with the community and people will get to know.
yeah.
So,
So you can share this information on LinkedIn, like you are doing these
yes,
things, and whatever learning you are getting from these sessions, so you can summarize and on LinkedIn you can showcase. And those who are
sure.
joined live, so I would say you can spread the word. You can take the screenshots of the question, whatever you liked, and just share on the LinkedIn so that more and more folks can join these sessions and they can learn from it. Okay, and anyone who is connected with me in future, if you want to be part of these live session, feel free to reach out. I will be having you on these live streams so that community can know like we have lots of talented folks available. Okay, so this is it for today. Thank you everyone for joining this session live, and we'll be coming tomorrow live again with another session. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, sir.